Can I just go through 1 week when I don't have to deal with the team losing? Like seriously, week 1, it was the Falcons. Week 2, my fantasy team. Week 3, the Falcons again. Week 4, my fantasy team loses again because of Jake Ferguson and Aubrey going off. And yes, Khalil Shakir out of nowhere had a touchdown early in the game against New Orleans, and yeah, McConkey stunk. As in he's being underutilized. Well, shit. At least BYU's still unbeaten. Welcome back to Grizzly Talks Football, ladies and gentlemen. We got Week 5 college football reactions, and we're going to be reacting to the Week 6 AP poll, along with predicting some games of Week 6. Pretty topsy-turvy week last weekend, with all those top 10 upsets. Or rather, them losing. You are somehow still looking for the Season 2 playlist. Make sure to have it in the description. All you gotta do is just click that link, and you'll have every single episode out there so you can catch up with everything. You also have it for future episodes as well. Do not forget to hit the red subscribe button either, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single one of my videos, and it also helps the channel a lot. Without further delay, let's go react to some Week 5 games in college football. Kicking the Week 5 reactions off with a banger as 2 top 25 teams lost on Friday night. First of all, Florida State, who was number 8, loses to Virginia in double overtime, 46-38. Castellanos, I would say, kind of had a rough game at all. He actually had 2 touchdowns and 300 total yards, so it wasn't actually that bad. Well, he did throw 2 interceptions. Yeah, a guy by the name of Jason Brevard picked off Castellanos twice. Deuce Robinson had a hell of a game, 9 catches, 150 yards and a score. But Virginia, that was a little bit crazier. I mean, Jalen Morris had 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions through the air, but then he ran for 3 touchdowns. Like I said before, this game went to double overtime. Both teams got a field goal, but then Virginia got a touchdown with the 2-point conversion. Florida State almost had a touchdown from Deuce Robinson, but that was overturned, and then on 4th down, they did not convert. What a big win for Virginia. Probably their first victory over a top 10 opponent in quite a long time. Wahoo's getting it done. Nice job. Other top 25 upset on Friday was Arizona State beating TCU, who was 24th in the country, 27-24. Also knocking them down out of the undefeateds. Not unranked, I mean the undefeateds, because they were 3-0 headed into this game, but then they lost. Spectacular game from Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson, connecting twice on touchdowns. Tyson had a heck of a game with 130 yards. Sam Levitt 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not so much for Josh Hooper. He got sacked 6 times. There was like one guy on Arizona State that got him down 3 times in the game and even forced to recover the fumble. Oh yeah, his name is Prince Dorba for Arizona State. Turnovers killed TCU, and Arizona pretty much controlled the entire game, but TCU kept on getting back in it. It was just Arizona State controlled it in the 4th quarter, 10-0. Arizona State's still here, man, even without Scadaboo. The first game we're going to talk about is Georgia Tech almost losing in Winston-Salem, North Carolina to Wake Forest in overtime. I gotta be honest, this was a struggling first half for Georgia Tech. They were down 17-3 at halftime. Thankfully for them, they were able to, come back in the second half, score 20 points and force overtime. They ended up picking up the win. Came down to a 2-point conversion attempt by Wake Forest, and they just did not get it. That was too close for comfort, Yellow Jackets. You better pick it up next time when you play... You actually play Louisville, who's still unbeaten. Just kidding, you're playing Virginia Tech, who's got 2 straight wins now. And they have a new coach. Next game we're going to talk about is Notre Dame absolutely bludgeoning Arkansas 56-13. This was significant because this game got Sam Pittman fired. After a 2-3 start, Arkansas had enough and they decided to let him go. And now I think Bobby Petrino's taken over as interim coach. Just a very much dominant game for Notre Dame. Jeremiah Love had 2 touchdowns, 1 on the ground, 1 in the air. CJ Carr threw 4 touchdowns, 350 yards. What a spectacular game from him. Yeah, and Arkansas just really, besides Taylor Green, they just could not move the ball. What a win for Notre Dame to get themselves back on track. Road win against the SEC opponent. Nice. Last game on this road was an absolute shootout in Bennu kickoff. Illinois beats USC 34-32. I try to tell people, don't get your hopes up on USC because at the end of the day, they may have a great offense, but their defense is ass. And ass indeed they were. They allowed Altmaier to throw for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jordan Maiva had 300 yards and 2 touchdowns in his own right. Jordan had 2 touchdowns. He's a beast. Lemon had 11 catches, 151 yards, and both touchdowns. Came down to an Illinois field goal, which he nailed. Which the kicker nailed. And Brett Belem is back in the win column. And Lincoln Riley has now got an L. I'm going to be brief on these 2 games over here. Texas A&M and Indiana survive. Yeah, these 2 games were ugly. That's why I don't want to talk about them. But both of these 2 teams, I believe, are in the top 10. Next up, we got Ole Miss, 13th ranked, beating number 4 LSU, 24-19. Chambliss was amazing. Lacey was incredible. And the defense made Nussmeier's offense from Brian Kelly look like a middle school offense. Like, if you saw the game, you would know that LSU's offense looked lost. Sure, they had a good start, but then 12 points in the next 3 quarters? Absolute sad. What a win for Ole Miss. This may or may not have skyrocketed the Rebels into the top 5. Maybe. The other game on this row, we had Tennessee surviving in Starkville, Mississippi against the Bulldogs of Mississippi State in overtime, 41-34. Man, this game was crazy. You know, Boswell had an impressive game, 130 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Like, Mississippi State was fighting all game long. It just wasn't enough. Man, imagine if Mississippi State would have won this game. They would 100% be ranked, and they would start getting national attention. I think they already have, but they would get a lot more of it. Offense was as smooth as butter, like they have been all season. You know, Joey Aguilar, definitely huge upgrade. Oh yeah, and guess what? Nico Yamalava is 0-4. Nice job, Bruins. Nice job getting Nico. Next 2 games were the primetime games. Alabama beat Georgia in Athens 24-21. The Bowers 2-0 against Kirby Smart. Damn. Ty Simpson, 2 touchdowns, 270 yards. I'm not saying he's going to be a Heisman. No chance. But that was a very nice game from him. And also the defense for stepping in and coming in clutch. 2 of the most undisciplined SEC teams going against each other. This would be about what you would expect. 24-21, keeping it close every single time. Now Alabama's got to play in Tuscaloosa against, oh boy, Vanderbilt. And for some reason, that's on College Game Day. And then, of course, this past weekend's College Game Day was actually Oregon beating Penn State in overtime 30-24. You may not have seen it, but I actually got the total points correct on this game, 54, and it was 30-24 in overtime, double overtime, which is crazy. Dante Moore, 3 touchdowns, 250 yards. Drew Aller had 2 touchdowns, but a game-losing interception in the first play of second overtime on their possession ended the game. The narrative that James Franklin can't win big games continues. And you know good and well I had to talk about this game. BYU beating Colorado. I think I talked about it in a short, but Barrett Bachmeier did really well. 270 total yards, 2 touchdowns to Chase Roberts. Kane Salter and Colorado had a fantastic start, but then our defense started to pick it up and they started to shut them down. And now BYU has to play West Virginia on Friday night, so we don't have very much time to rest. Now, before we head to the AP poll reactions, let's predict some Week 6 games. I'm using the games from the ESPN website from the ESPN College Pick'em, so let's get straight to it. First up, we have Iowa State taking on Cincinnati, and for some reason, the Bearcats are actually favored by 1.5. This game is on ESPN2, but I do think the Cyclones are going to keep the undefeated season alive. Cincinnati had a big win against Kansas last weekend, but I think that's going to be the highlight of their season, unfortunately. Next up on this list, we got Kansas State taking on Baylor on ESPN+. Kansas State did get a win last weekend, but I don't think they're that good. Give me the Baylor Bears at home. Oh look, there's Clemson against North Carolina. 1-3 against, I think, 1-3? Yeah, Clemson's definitely winning that one. There's no way Dabo's going to go 1-4. It would be funny, though. Next up, we got Texas taking on Florida in the swamp. Yeah, Florida's not that good. Give me Texas. There's also Virginia going against the Cardinals of Louisville in Kentucky. Virginia's riding high after the Florida State win, but I think that's going to get to their heads. Usually your biggest high is usually your biggest low. So I'm going to go Louisville to win it all. Then we got College Game Day, which is in Tuscaloosa, Vandy against Bama. I think more and more people are starting to expect Vanderbilt to beat Alabama again, but I think that's going to cause Bama to get pissed. I think Alabama is actually going to get their revenge here. Then we got Washington going against Maryland. Washington, you know, they lost 24-6 against Ohio State in a very unimpressive showing by the Buckeyes. If Maryland's still unbeaten, I think they keep that going. Those were the 3:30 games. On to the 7 o'clock games. First up, UNLV taking on Wyoming. Honestly, I don't think Wyoming's that good. I'm going to go UNLV here. Dan Mullen's going to stay unbeaten. Then at 7:30, you got Kansas taking on UCF. I'm going to go Kansas Jayhawks in this one. I like UCF, but Kansas is really the better team here. There's also a big game between two unbeaten teams in the Big 12, Texas Tech against Houston. Imagine Houston beats Texas Tech. That'd be funny. But I'm going to go with the Red Raiders here. Final 7:30 game that is featured on the ESPN College Pick'em is the rivalry game between Miami and Florida State. Miami's riding high. They're a top 5 team. They're unbeaten, going against a one-loss Florida State team that just lost on the road. Oh boy, this is going to be pretty tough. This is a much different Florida State than Miami played last year. I'm going to say Florida State actually does win this game. I'm sure Florida State's actually going to expose the flaws that Miami has, because I know they got some. We also got the Nevada-Fresno State game. I think Fresno State will win that. And then, of course, the 10:30 game also along with it is Duke against Cal. Cal's 4-1. Duke is coming off 2 straight ACC wins. I think Duke keeps this going in Berkeley. Cal's not terrible, but I don't think they're as good as people want them to be. And for my super dog, I'll probably go with... I'll go Mississippi State against Texas A&M. I think that Mississippi State is actually still good, so... yeah, they'll keep this close with Texas A&M. They're going to keep fighting. That does it for the Week 6 predictions. Let's go react to the AP poll. We officially have the Week 6 AP poll from yesterday. Let's go check it out. As far as top 5, I'm not too mad at it. Ohio State being number 1, I mean, that's fair. Oregon being number 2, I would argue that Oregon could be number 1, Ohio State be number 2, but that would be ridiculous to be honest. They do go ahead of Miami. I do agree with the fact that they should not be punished for having a bye. Ole Miss goes up to number 4 after beating LSU. Personally, for me, I think that's a little bit too high for Ole Miss. Oklahoma top 5, I think Oklahoma is the top 5 team right now. As for 6 through 10, we got Texas A&M at 6. They're still undefeated. Penn State at 7 after the loss. I agree with that. Don't suffer too much for the overtime game. You got Indiana at 8, who survived Iowa. Could be a little bit lower, but you can't really put them below Texas, can you? Or Alabama. Then you got Texas at 9 and Alabama at 10. Interesting. Bama, of course, beat Georgia. They're ahead of them, of course, as it should be. Then we got 11 through 15. Texas Tech still unbeaten. Probably should be in the top 10. If they beat Houston, they definitely will be. Georgia's at 12 after the loss to Alabama. They didn't fall too much. They only fell 7 spots. Yeah. LSU 13 drops 9 spots after losing to Ole Miss. They just pretty much switched spots after that game. LSU with 1 loss is ahead of an undefeated Iowa State team. That's fucking ridiculous. 14 is Iowa State and Tennessee's still 15. What? How long are we going to keep this narrative of Tennessee being number 15? Huh? Then we got the bottom 10 in this list. First off, Vanderbilt still unbeaten. You got 16. A huge game coming up against Alabama in Tuscaloosa. They win that. They could be getting some national respect. Georgia Tech is 17. The drop-off was definitely fair, justified. 1-point win over Wake Forest. Not that impressive. Florida State drops 10 spots to 18 after the loss to Virginia. Honestly, I could think it could have dropped lower. They should be still ahead of Virginia, though. Missouri at 19. I think they're still undefeated right now, if I'm not mistaken. So probably should definitely be a little higher. Then you got Michigan at 20. Come on, this is just brand bias at this point. And then the bottom 5, you got Notre Dame, who is 2-2 right now at 21. Illinois does not move that much, only moves to 22 after beating USC. How does Illinois not go ahead of Notre Dame? Was that win over Arkansas that convincing? BYU is going up 2 spots to 23 after beating Colorado after coming back. Virginia, after the big win over FSU, goes to 24. They got a big game against Louisville on the road. And, of course, Arizona State's back in the top 25 with that win over TCU. Top 5 vote-getters that didn't make the top 25 were actually South Florida, Utah, Mississippi State, Memphis, and Louisville. I think South Florida's in there because of their 2 ranked wins earlier. That's pretty much the only reason. Boise State, after that loss to South Florida, was actually doing not terrible right now. They're actually won the rest of their games so far. And as for Florida, yeah, 1-3. Yikes. Hey, Florida, how long until you fire Billy Napier? That'll do it for the Week 6 AP poll reaction. That'll do it for this episode of Gracie Talks Football, the college episode on Mondays. You enjoyed this episode? Make sure you give this a big 10 thumbs up. Hit the red subscribe button down there and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single one of my videos. This is the Grizz signing off for now, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace, love, keep the crazy vibes with you at all times. Take care.